Hello again, for those of you who may have connected. Sorry, today it seems like we're having some technical difficulties. But I wanted to come to you to talk about a few things. Now, one thing that came to mind is the fact that last time I came and we spoke, I hadn't presented myself. I guess I didn't introduce myself because I'm so used to speaking with you, my community, that I don't even think about the idea that this might get shared around to different people on the internet. So my name is Tigrila Gardenia. For those of you that don't know me, I'm an interspecies researcher. I specialize in plant intelligence, cognition, neurobiology, lots of terms out there. I'm also the communications manager for BioVersum and a biomimicry facilitator there, where we bring nature-inspired solutions out into the world. So I want to talk to you today about some research that I recently came across. It was a journal article that was published this year, and I find it absolutely fascinating because you know that I have this slight obsession, for those of you that have been following me for a while, with what I call nature in the city. I would love to live in an urban plantasy, a city that has been co-created with the plant world. And I'm looking into new ways of doing this because there's many traditional ways, of course, bringing in more trees and plants into our cities in general. And this is extremely important, which is the study that I'm about to share with you. But there's also new and innovative ways where we can maybe work together with the plant mind. And this is what I'm hoping to study more in depth. Once I finished my master's, now I'm looking into other programs that hopefully can get me there. Anyways, going back to what I wanted to share with you. So recently I came across this amazing study about the effects of greening vacant lots. So vacant land that's been sort of abandoned in cities. So we all have gone through these types of cities, especially big metropolitan cities where you have these areas that have been completely abandoned. And, you know, they're dirty. People end up throwing a lot of their trash. They might have a lot of people who kind of hang out around the area and just throw their bottles, cigarette butts, all these types of things. These sort of eyesores in the middle of a city. And so this study, which was done in Pennsylvania, took 110 random vacant lots across the city and divided them into 3 different groups. One group was a group where they just cleaned up the lot. So they took the lot and they just cleaned off all of the dirt. They kind of still left it abandoned in the sense that it didn't have anything in it, but they didn't add anything either. So they just made it tidy and neat. They left another group completely as is, untouched. And then they took a third group and they greened it. In other words, they turned it into a little plant oasis. They added plants, they added more greenery, they made it, you know, they gave it a look that was conducive using plants. And so you had one that was just clean, one that was abandoned, and one section that was instead greened. And when they went and they did surveys and other methods that they had, they found that the rate of self-diagnosed depression, in other words, those feelings of hopelessness, those feelings of like, you know, of non-wellness, especially that we feel sometimes when we're in that city environment that's just complete concrete and steel. These types of issues, they found a 41.5% decrease. Can you believe it? 41.5% of self-reported poor mental health, okay? These are like feelings of depression. And then in general, mental health, like the feeling of hopelessness, the feeling of, you know, of really just not being able to make it in a city environment was reduced by over 60%. It's something like 62.8% or something like that, which was for people who lived near the greened vacant lots. Now, in the control groups, the groups that were either left on their own or that were cleaned up, they didn't really see a change. There was probably a little bit of a change on what they call a non-significant change for the people that lived in a cleaned up environment. But the real change were for the people who lived near the greened lots. Now, I bring this to you because I feel like it's extremely important for you to realize how simple of an act. I mean, if you remember years ago, there was all this kind of guerrilla type of work being done. People were creating seed bombs and throwing them around in cities in order to really encourage the growth of green. And these things work. These things make us feel better. But how much more can we do in cities like Detroit, for example, in the United States, where they're finding that one of the things that's bringing back resilience, which is bringing back community, which is bringing back unity, is the urban community garden. And we're seeing it also in London. In London, they have community gardens that have always been a part of the culture, but they're also springing up on top of buildings, the same as you're seeing this in other places. These green spaces are fundamental for our mental health because it's the plant world that is part of that biophilic connection. Yes, we can have new construction, and you know I'm a huge advocate for biomimicry, for nature-inspired processes, for building new with all of these biophilic, all of these connections to nature, but we can't always do that. And so let's start small. Let's begin where we can begin. Walk around your neighborhood, especially if you have a neighborhood where you feel kind of that sadness. And where can you introduce the green? Where can you bring nature closer to you? Whether it's in your own home, whether it's on your balcony or your patio or your terrace or your front or back garden, anything, but also expanding it out around. And it doesn't have to be a high maintenance green. We're not talking about planting beautiful rose bushes that then have to be, taken care of. Although that can work too, if you feel like you have a community to help you with that. But more than anything, I'm talking about the simple green. I'm talking about just bringing back what is naturally already growing. So the next time that you're getting together with your friends, trying to figure out what you could do to make your neighborhood healthier and safer, because even safety, even crime drops when you have more plants. If you want to create a healthier and a safer neighborhood, think about where you can add plants. Where can you encourage the plant world to grow with you? Where can you take back a little bit of green space, a little place where you can either see the green or at best you can walk over the green or sit in the green? And I'm not just talking about a dog park, I'm talking about a place, a human park or a human area or something that just brings you joy from seeing it, all right? So this is me, Tigrila Gardenia, signing off. I want to hear from you about your neighborhoods. I want to hear about where you enjoy green in the city. I want to hear about all the beautiful spaces that you have, or if you feel like you don't have enough of them, where's one space in your city that you want to transform?